532 promotion. Constantinople, the best city on the planet, is on fire. Be that as it may, this is no savage assault. Residents of the Eastern Roman domain are revolting, killing state authorities, and setting structures ablaze. Caught inside his own castle, ruler Justinian fears his rule is finished. He's as of now surrendered to the crowd's requests and fired his most couldn't stand authorities. Yet, presently the group's recognition another ruler, Hypatius. It's his better half, ruler Theodora, who will give him the fortitude to act. Furthermore, his generally confided by and large, Belisarius, to whom he'll go to smash his foes and save the system. Following quite a while of majestic emergency, Justinian's rule will observe a Roman fightback that couple of had envisioned conceivable. Incredible triumphs over the savages, the reconquest of Rome itself, the reunification of the realm. Belisarius is the administrator who will lead this assault. He will be recognized as Rome's last extraordinary general. 527 promotion. It's over a long time since the fall of the Western Roman realm. Rome itself, the everlasting city, is currently essential for an Ostrogothic realm of Italy. In any case, however Rome might have fallen, the domain perseveres. The Eastern Roman domain stays an awe-inspiring phenomenon. An expected 30 million individuals live subject to the sovereign in Constantinople. His power extends from the attacked Balkans to the magnificent breadbasket, Egypt, the Middle Eastern desert, to the mountains of Armenia. This Christian realm stays unparalleled in regulatory complexity, financial power, and military might. Yet, the new head, Justinian, faces imposing difficulties. In 527, he succeeds Justin, his uncle and embraced father, turning into the main child to succeed his dad as sovereign in over 100 years. Justinian is from an extreme, laborer foundation in Thrace, what's presently Serbia. He's exceptionally taught, fretful and driven, and lays out himself two aggressive objectives. First, to reestablish congruity in the Christian church by finishing the break between Chalcedonian, or universal, Christians and Miaphysites, who quarrel about Christ's human and heavenly nature. Second, to change and excuse Roman regulation, the supernaturally authorized foundation that recognizes the Roman world from the brute. The royal greatness shouldn't just be enhanced with arms, yet in addition be outfitted with regulations. So there might be great government in times both of war and harmony, he later proclaims. Yet, with respect to any Roman ruler, a definitive trial of his authenticity will come in war. Until further notice, Justinian has great relations with the hoodlums in North Africa and the Ostrogoths in Italy. The Balkan wilderness requires steady watchfulness. The replacements to Attila's Hun domain are never peaceful for a really long time. However, it's in the east that Justinian faces his most prompt test, the Persian Sassanid realm, an opponent superpower of the Center East. This boondocks has been a landmark for a really long time and saw its portion of Roman losses, including one sovereign caught, one more killed. For a large portion of the last 100 years, the common danger of the Huns prompted a careful concurrence. In any case, it couldn't stand the test of time. In 525, the Christian ruler of Iberia in the Caucasus spoke to the Romans for help when the Persian Lord Kavad attempted to force Zoroastrian ceremonies on his country. The Romans send military guide, and the contention heightens, with the two sides sending off cross-line assaults. At the point when the Romans start constructing another stronghold at Minduos, the Persians assault, defeat the Roman soldiers, and annihilate the structure works. One of the Roman commanders to get away from this failure is Flavius Belisarius. Obviously, he isn't accused, on the grounds that the following year Justinian makes him leader of all Roman soldiers in the East. However, he's scarcely 30 years of age. Belisarius and the sovereign are old confidants and come from a similar humble foundation in Thrace. He had served in Justinian's own regiment when he was still successor to the high position. His significant other Antonina is the dearest companion of sovereign Theodora. What's more, similar to her, from a questionable foundation in the acting calling. With both Roman and Persian domains preparing for war, the following year, 530, will consider Belisarius' most memorable significant test to be a leader. The soldiers that Belisarius orders are distant from the popular armies, with which Rome vanquished its domain hundreds of years prior. Hard illustrations, gained from battling Huns and Persians, have assisted with manufacturing another Roman armed force. For a really long time, cavalry was the disregarded arm of the Roman military, a job normally moved to unfamiliar helpers. Presently weighty, heavily clad mounted force, known as clibanarii and cataphracti, furnished with spear and sword, structure the military's tip-top shock units. Some reinforced cavalry, as well as Corsair's light-mounted force. Additionally, convey bows. The Romans, in impersonation of the Huns and Persian, are currently horse toxopholite themselves. The best units are the Belisarius, the roll eaters, named after the military apportion. These handpicked troopers structure an overall's very own regiment. Long help, great compensation, and hardware, in addition to an individual pledge of devotion, make them his most solid soldiers. Roman bowmen are currently furnished with a more impressive composite, reflex bows of the Huns. And keeping in mind that infantry actually made up around 66% of a Roman armed force, its job is more protective, shaping a safe base from which the cavalry could send off its assaults. The standard infantry unit is likewise more modest, called a numerus in Latin, arithmos in Greek, about regimental size, from 1,000 to 1,500 men. They're more blended, with heavily clad veterans to frame a fulcrum, or safeguard wall, and more rocket troops behind them to release a blast of bolts, lances, and darts. At long last, Rome helps its tactical strength by selecting the very savages it had once detested, including Huns, Goths, and Heruli. Those external the realm are enrolled as hired fighters. Those inside act as federati, combines, and are typically told by their own officials. The tactical association of the realm has likewise been upgraded. Two focal field armed forces, positioned on one or the other side of the Bosporus, are directed by a magister militum praesentialis, and structure an essential hold. Field armed forces situated in Thrace, Illyria, Armenia, and the East are each told by a magister militum and structure local, fast response powers. The outskirts are held by the limitani. These are the most reduced paid and least exceptional soldiers, simply expected to hold their invigorated stations until fortifications show up. Limitani are coordinated into neighborhood gatherings, each told by a dux, beginning of integrity duke. However, the idea has ordinarily seemed obvious me. The number of and how extraordinary are the advantages which build to states through history, which communicates to people in the future the memory of the individuals who have gone previously, and opposes the consistent exertion of time to cover occasions in blankness. The antiquarian Procopius is our critical observer for the occasions of this period. He was brought into the world around 500 in the city of Caesarea in Palestine, and got a top-notch schooling. In 527, he was selected assessor, or legitimate counsel, to Belisarius. He successfully turned into the overall secretary, and now and again, confidant. Working from notes and writing in Greek, He would distribute his extraordinary work, History of the Conflicts, in 551. Procopius's record is profoundly good for Belisarius. Be that as it may, there will be a sting in the tale, a shameful secret history, which will arise later in the story. 530 Promotion. Lord Kavad sends a military to catch the Roman outskirts. Stronghold at Dora. To date, the remains of Dora lie on the Turkish-Syrian boundary, their scale indicating the size of the Roman stronghold that once remained here. Belisarius is cautioned that 40,000 Persian soldiers are progressing on Dara. He can gather 25,000 soldiers to meet them. Because of reasons that are indistinct, Belisarius chooses to make his stand outside the city walls, toward the south. His men dig trenches to reinforce their situation, with the two flanks tossed forward. The infantry is put in the middle, with mounted force on the two flanks. Two gatherings of 600 Hun soldiers of fortune are situated between them, in help. At the back, he puts his hold, his own Belisarius. At the point when the enormous Persian armed force shows up before Dara, Belisarius is all set. The principal day starts with a stalemate. The two commanders trade letters. Belisarius desires Firuz to pull out, to permit time for additional exchanges. Firuz advises the Roman to set up his shower. He plans to be in Dara by dusk. The Persians send off one examining assault against the Roman left wing, maybe testing their protections. The Persians are driven off with 7 killed. At the point when a youthful Persian hero rides hidden therein and moves any Roman to confront him in single battle, his proposition is acknowledged by Andreas. Andreas has no tactical preparation, yet he's a wrestling teacher of gigantic strength. Before the Persian understands what's going on, Andreas has thumped him off his pony with his spear. Then, at that point, descent to polish him off, similar to a conciliatory creature in the expressions of Procopius. Andreas later kills a second Persian challenger, to Roman cheers and the disappointment of the Persians. The following morning, Firuz gets 10,000 fortifications, carrying his complete solidarity to 50,000. With chances of 2 to 1 in support of himself, he chooses to assault. Firuz structures up his military with infantry and foot toxopholite in the middle, and his Persian weighty mounted force, the dreaded Savarin, on the two wings. He likewise partitions his military into 2 sections, a forefront and a hold line, so that new soldiers can be pivoted into the battling. He keeps a unit of immortals, the first-class Persian weighty mounted force, as his own hold. On the whole, he pauses. He realizes the Romans ordinarily eat in the first part of the day and are becoming eager, while his own soldiers are acquainted with eating later in the day. At long last, around early afternoon, he provides the request. The Persian armed force advances to inside Boshat, and the two armed forces release a tempest of bolts. Persia is celebrated for the expertise of its bowmen. Be that as it may, today, the breeze inclines toward the Romans. At the point when the toxopholite run out of bolts, the Persian mounted force starts its development. This is the second Belisarius has arranged for. The Savarin collide with his left wing, driving the Roman horsemen back. Yet, the Persians haven't spotted 300 heraldry horsemen, taking cover behind an incline on the Roman left, hanging tight for this second. They rush out from cover and assault the Persian rangers from behind. Then, at that point, 600 Huns fall on their flank. Under this surge, the Persian cavalry turns and escapes, with weighty misfortunes. Firuz changes to the next flank, going after with his weighty cavalry upheld by the first-class immortals. The Roman cavalry breaks under the strain, gushing back to the walls of Dara. Yet Belisarius has seen the danger. He reviews the Huns that are chasing after the Persian conservative and, dispatches both Hun gatherings, as well as his own Belisarius, against the flank and back of the Persian assault. It's the definitive snapshot of the fight. The Persian left wing out of nowhere ends up enduring an onslaught from three sides. Those that can't escape are chopped down. Sunicus, one of the Hun chiefs, kills a Persian leading figure. Then, at that point, General Barsham himself, who orders the Persian left wing. With the tip-top units of the Persian armed force in flight, the infantry offer little opposition. Most are worker recruits. No counterpart for Roman cavalry. Before long, the whole Persian armed force is in defeat. Belisarius, happy with his triumph and reluctant to gamble any last-minute converse, stops the pursuit. Procopius lets us know 8,000 Persians lay dead on the front line, a number that could be exact. For on that day, the Persians had been crushed fighting by the Romans, a thing which had not occurred for quite a while. Belisarius has won a splendid triumph for the realm. Sometime thereafter, Cidas, Magister Militum of Armenia, prevails upon one more triumph, the Persians at Satala. The conflict is swinging in support of Rome. Be that as it may, the next year, empowered by a Samaritan revolt in Palestine, ruler Kavad orders an enormous scope strike along the Euphrates waterway. Belisarius collects a military to meet them. In any case, having a desolated Roman area, the Persians are content to pull out with their plunder. Belisarius shadows them. His subordinates encourage him to obliterate the foe before they escape. So contrary to what he would usually prefer, he goes after the Persians on Easter Sunday at Callinicum. The fight is a debacle. Rome's Middle Easterner partners, the Gassanids, hold the right flank. However, Procopius blames them for escaping at the earliest hint of risk. Persian rangers rolls up the whole Roman line. In franticness, the Roman infantry structure safeguard wall with their backs to the waterway. They hold off the adversary rangers, delaying for the remaining parts of the military to get away from across the stream. Callinicum is an embarrassment for Rome, and for Belisarius. His own part in the fight is muddled. As indicated by Procopius, he stayed with the infantry, coordinating the retreat. One more source claims he was among quick to escape. It had obviously been a serious botch to surrender to tension from his subordinates, to face a pointless conflict. Belisarius is eliminated from order and reviewed to Constantinople. Justinian is compelled to pay a sponsorship and bury the hatchet with Persia, not with ruler Kavad, who kicks the bucket that year, but rather with his 20-year-old child, Khosrow. Khosrow will end up being the best of all Sasanian rulers, hailed as Anushirvan, the interminable soul, and will demonstrate a hazardous opponent to the Romans. While significant revolting breaks out in Constantinople the following year, Belisarius is in the capital, anxious to re-establish his discolored standing. The mobs have been affected by the groups of the Hippodrome, the Greens and Blues. These are more than chariot-hustling fans. The groups run entire region of the city. At first, they look for just the arrival of imprisoned friends. However, at that point, requires another ruler, Hypatius, nephew of head Anastasius. Almost certainly, Justinian's adversaries in the Senate are currently calling the shots. Justinian falters. He contemplates whether they ought to escape the capital. Then Theodora shouts out. Life as a criminal, she pronounces, would be horrendous. Better the well-known axiom, imperial purple makes a respectable cover. In others' words, better to go down battling. The sovereign is encouraged by Theodora's words and orders Belisarius and another general, Mundus, to squash the revolt. Belisarius solidified. Soldiers send off an unexpected assault on the agitators. There is no benevolence. The roads run with blood. The last loss of life is assessed at 30,000, a stunning one of every 20 of the city's populace. The following day, Justinian arranges the execution of Hypatius and his sibling, presumably honest pawns in another person's plot. Their bodies are thrown into the ocean. Because of Theodora and Belisarius, Justinian's lofty position is protected. Until further notice, a Roman ruler depended on one quality more than some other. From his commanders, steadfastness. Belisarius has demonstrated his certain. Presently, Justinian needs to support for his system, declare his authenticity and God's approval. With a tactical triumph, he experiences his expensive harmony with the Sassanid domain. So he will turn west. A conflict to recover Rome's lost territories from the savages will be a help to God and Justinian. Such a mission can be shared with just a single man, Belisarius.